この番組はご覧のスポンサーの提供でお送りします。Alrighty, welcome everyone. I'm Teeaboo and I am here for Sangatsu no Lions Season 2, Episodes 17 and 18. I was made aware by a couple different people on the Discord, and I think somebody posted on Patreon as well, that 17 and 18 are a package deal of episodes, and so I thought, well, I might as well do a double feature. So, and considering that I actually woke up at a reasonable time this morning, which hasn't happened recently, I've got time to do it, so yeah. Sangatsu hype. So we got a two-part thing, and people seem pretty excited about these couple of episodes, which is great. The last arc that we just finished was the White Storm arc, where Rei and Soyotoji get to know each other a little bit better, and Rei finds out some interesting things about Soyotoji. One of which is, of course, that he's, I wouldn't say like fully disabled, but he's impaired in terms of his sense of hearing. Not super clear as to what the deafness is, and there was some debate in the comment section about that, but I'm just gonna go with what the show says and not like try to speculate too much further as to whether it's like a psychosomatic thing or psychological thing or stress or whatever. It doesn't really matter. The show told us that Soyotoji, sometimes he is able to hear and sometimes he isn't. And it's not like selective conversation to conversation or anything like that. It seems to be over periods of time. That's really interesting. And as some people have pointed out, this is actually really well foreshadowed, and you could pick up on this from as early as Season 1, Episode 17, where Rei meets Soya by the koi pond. And somebody recommended that I go back and watch that scene, and I did, and was kind of stunned by it because it's pretty amazing. What we get is Rei standing by the koi pond, and the rush of this light sprinkle of rain is coming down, and we can hear it falling and pitter-pattering on the surfaces around, but also on the lake as a whole as Rei stares into the koi pond. And then as Soya enters the scene, we have this whoosh, right? This whoosh of wind, which is often to draw our attention to something else in the show, or to bring us into a specific moment. And in this case, the moment is the moment where Rei realizes that Soyotoji is there, but what happens with the sound is all the sound of the rain fades out to dead stillness, dead silence. And it's kind of uncanny seeing this visual of the rain falling and being like trained by the show before this, just for a few seconds, that rain falling equals pitter-patter, but there's dead silence. And it remains, and it lingers for a little while over the two of them as they recognize each other's presence by this koi pond. And then the sound fades back in as the chairman comes up yelling, "Soya, Soya, Soya!" Soya. I've been watching Sarazanmai, sorry. I can't help but think of the Soya Soya Otters song whenever I say Soyotoji. My bad. If you aren't watching Sarazanmai, you should be. Then you can get that joke. It's totally worth it. No, it's worth watching on its own. In any case, he comes out running for him and has to kind of drag him away. And at that point, our perspective has switched back to Rei. And at first, I thought that this stillness, I just attributed it to like the intensity of being around Soyotoji, because we've seen and heard similar types of scenes in the flashbacks of Rei, younger Rei, seeing Soya at the Shogi Hall, and similar stuff like that, where there's an air of intensity or a silent something whenever Soya is around. But the stuff that we learned in this latest arc of Season 2 sort of puts all of that into place and makes me realize as a viewer, like, oh, I was set up for this. This was planned and well planned and well integrated into the earlier parts of the story. So that's always cool to see, and it's cool to have little revelations like that. I love it a lot. So as far as actual plot stuff goes, Hina's story seems to be done in terms of bullying at school. Head teacher seems to have nipped that in the bud before it could get much worse. Again, I'm gonna stick with what I said last time, which is that maybe we see some interesting interactions between Hina and her former or still current kind of the people at school who don't like her. See if they have other interactions and see if those go differently. I think that would be really interesting, just to show the progression of the school, like the state of affairs, the status quo in the class has changed significantly because of the head teacher's arrival. And so maybe we see something interesting that demonstrates that change, but otherwise I think we're able to call Hina okay. Um Akari and Momo are doing Akari and Momo things. I don't think there's anything going super wrong there. Grandpa's doing grandpa stuff. Sayatoji's back safe with people who can take care of him or by himself or whatever he prefers to do. And then there are a couple of other things. So we had the exhibition match between Soya and Rei, but there was another match that was talked about at the same time that we introduced that match. Where we saw the posters, the two posters, and there's an actual second purpose to that scene, which is like there's gonna be a match between Shimada and the chairman, right? Um, so that's pretty cool. Wait, or is it the chairman or is it the older guy? I actually don't remember. That I'm dumb. Regardless, they had a poster as well. So there's another match going on. And at the end of the preview in the last episode, we heard, I believe, I mean, if I'm mistaken that this is Shimada, I'm gonna be really stupid. But I believe it's Shimada at the end who says, I'll do anything, I'll bite into anything that I can, my first title. So this is kind of a potential big step for Shimada, and I would love to see that. His arc before was amazing. I love him as a character, and I would love to see him come back into the professional shogi landscape that we've been looking at, or at least our view of it, because he's been off repairing, recovering, training, and getting ready to make another stab at his own dreams, right? Like, we saw him fail, and it was heartbreaking. Come so close and yet be so far. But I think the purpose of that previous arc was to show Shimada's resolve and his willingness and ability to get back up and keep going. And I think that's what we're going to see soon. Maybe not right now. Is there anything else that I haven't covered? Some cool heart-to-hearts between Mr. Cool Teacher and Rei about Hina and stuff like that. And then the other thing is that Rei has not been over for a while, right? Like it's been a little while. I think. Shit, I'm forgetting too many things. Okay. I've been talking for a little while. Let's get into this episode. I've got episode 17 up. It's at 0 seconds. There will be multiple versions of this reaction video. Picture-in-picture version with the video up there, in the description down there, timer-based version on YouTube, discussion at the end, beep beep timer at the beginning for your syncing purposes, and get ready for it. This is coming right now. SOP can't help but bring a smile to my face at multiple points. At the start, at the scene of the family, when the sun comes out. All right, let's see where our focus starts. And what's the title? Burnt Field. Okay. That could get intense. Okay. Oh boy. Wait, why are they... It's pretty bad. Maybe you should have asked a design. Oh, okay, without spending any money. Yeah. What about asking Hina? Hina likes to draw. Yeah, he lost it. And it's beautiful. Right, okay, it's not the chairman. It's that guy, and I don't remember what his position is. Right. Oh. So they're competing again? Well then. Oh, they're doing commentary. Gotcha. Yeah. It's all on you. You know what? I want to write a note about something. Timestamp. Okay. Third, eh? That's quite a bit of beer to be drinking before you go play a shogi. Like, kind of quite a bit of beer. Ah, little advantage because it's his tournament, right? And how long has he been the holder of the prize? Yeah, lots of old people. That's a lot of times. I see. And there's the line that was used in the preview. Hell yeah. Sorry, old man, your reign is over. Holy crap, Shimada. That's what I'm talking about. Hmm? Who dat? Who's gone? What's their relationship? This is an entirely new character, isn't it? Hi. Oh, okay, it's the eve of the match. I thought it was the night of the match and he was getting drunk before the match. Just like, that doesn't seem advisable. Oh. Oh, he's a newspaper guy. Shit. Oh, buddy. All the people who care. Where in the field and why is it burnt? Is that Yanagihara? It is. And is that Ganchan? Wow. It is him, isn't it? No, he has glasses. Watching everyone, all of his peers fall away. He's the only one who stayed. And the smoke ties it all together. So he's the last bastion of a generation of shogi players. And the smoke curls up. Yeah, he's heard this before. Oh, ho, 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 ho. It's a petit mort. It's a little death. I was wondering what those were. Wow. Not without a fight. You won't take this from him. A heavy burden, but one that he carries willingly. A black title card? Was that a black title card? The fuck? Has that ever happened before? The weight of expectations. Good morning. That's a really thick futon. Pills and pills and pills. The joy of aging. Icy hot tight patches. They weren't nicotine patches, right? No, that would have been a lot. Are they from the village? The homies. He might have home crowd advantage, but he's got those few. He's got his own home team. Here we go. And then Rei and Nikaido are doing demo board commentary, right? The beginning. Wow. Wow. Of course. Four minutes, 40 seconds left in the episode. I know it's a two-parter, so let's see how far we get. Promotion. And with it, alrighty. Oh, that's so good. So you just keep going. I'm ensconced in flames. There's still fuel left for that fire. Oh. 30 seconds for the preview. What you got for me? Whoa. Whoa. I love the color and shadow choices here. The yellows and oranges, little bits of green and blue in here. God, the emotion. Who's Ito you? You Ito. Who you? Damn it. While that Google search loads because it's being weird. Oh, never mind. She. Another female mangaka. Kokoku no Shugosha and Shut Hell. Also did some character designs for Iron Blooded Orphans. Okay. Imperial Guards. Ooh, from some of the promo art, this seems to be very much her style. Even down to some of the color, like the way that colors are used for shadow and like emotional impact. That's pretty cool. Okay. Oh, she's the artist on that, and then it's story by someone else. Okay. Cool. Then let me click on her profile on ANN. See if there's anything else that comes up. She was in between on Kiki's delivery service. Holy crap. And The Secret of Blue Water, Nadia. Yeah. And GGG no Kitaro. Wow, some kind of older stuff. Cool. So, key animation, in between animation, and then of course ANN doesn't list manga credit stuff. Okay. So, let's see. How do I want to talk about this episode? Because there are a bunch of points that I want to hit on. What I'm gonna do is, because I often forget things as I'm going through other things, I'm just gonna write a quick list of the things that I want to touch on and make sure that absolutely sure that I cover. So, I'll cut this. Editing me. Do a fixie thing. Fixie thing. Okay, I've got my things written down, and what I want to do is I want to start at the end, and then I think we'll probably go from the end and jump to the beginning. I think I've got a way for this to flow together. So we'll start at the end, because the final scenes of this episode are the ones that left the biggest impression on me, and I'll even go so far as to say that there's something that I needed to hear and see, personally, because they reaffirm some things that I believe, and some things that I think are a really important message, that I've gleaned from a number of series, and those series, almost without fail, are some of my absolute favorites. And it all comes down to this last line. And of course, all of the context that sets it up. I'll become a human torch again and give full rein to my suffering. There's a consciousness about the suffering that Yanagihara has gone through here. And you might notice in my previous videos I talk about suffering a lot, because I often come at the world from a semi-Buddhist perspective, just like sorta. At least insofar as I believe that suffering is important, that consciousness of it is important, and that more than anything, that it's universal, that no matter what paths you choose in life, you will not eliminate suffering. It's just never going to happen. But that if you choose a path conscious of the suffering that comes with it, then that pain can become fuel. And I'm using the word fuel specifically here because of the metaphorical context that we're existing in the show, because it's fuel for the fire. Yanagihara recycles everything that he goes through, recycles the weight of expectations on him, whatever feelings, whatever complicated emotions he has about all of his peers leaving, the talk and chatter and gossip about how old he is and whether he'll give up, and his own body's revolt, the rebellion of aging that we all will experience at some point. All of these things could be obstacles for him. All of these things, and they are, regardless, they are. All of these things could be enough to stop someone who wasn't as strong-minded as he is. But what he does instead is he consumes all of that pain and realizes that doing so gives him power, in a sense. That accepting it and choosing it, and indeed giving full rein to it, meaning loosen up on the reins, allow it to run free, allow it to pull him forward, not backward, not push him back. He's aware that he can do that. I think that's important. I think it's like exceptionally important, because if you can go through the perspective change and train yourself to recognize suffering as not a sign of bad, but the status quo, there will be suffering, then you can turn that suffering into your own strength. And that sounds, maybe it sounds, I don't know, kind of cliche, or maybe that falls flat. But from my experience and from what seems to be many people's experience, it works. It works. You choose your suffering and you can succeed. So I wanted to start there because it left a huge impact on me. And then moving back from that a little bit, we got this line from Gon, his friend. Without work, what's left? And I mean, the first thing to say is that I think that humans without work, without purpose, without something, not just something to keep you occupied, because being occupied isn't the same as being fulfilled. Without work, without a driving purpose, without goals to move toward or something to maintain, I think that humans fall apart as a general rule. There might be exceptions, but I think that we need to be active, and not false activity or tricking ourselves with entertainment or play or anything like that, though we do need that as well. I think we need to dedicate ourselves to a purpose. And without that drumbeat of purpose in your life, I think that we fall apart really fast. Without work, what's left? I feel like I'm standing in a burnt field. And at first I didn't quite understand, and maybe I still don't. You know, I won't claim to understand this metaphor completely. But I think I've got a grasp of it. So let me know in the comments if you've got a different interpretation of it. There's probably not a right or wrong one. But here's my go at it. A burnt field, past tense, although we see it still smoldering, is like a burned out candle. All of the crop, all of the harvest, all of the fuel in the field has already been burned away. And what you're left with is nowhere to go, because it's just this empty, burnt plain. Nowhere to go. Nothing left to burn. No more fuel. And then that's contrasted with Yanagihara, who burns from within. Burnt field, past tense, no crops, nothing to burn left, versus a fire fueled from within. That's pretty cool. And I think at that point, let's jump backward a little bit through the episode and talk about a structural setupy thing, which I think is really cool, that I caught wind of. We're going in, we know that the main conflict is between Shimada and Yanagihara. We know Shimada's story, mostly. We know enough of it to know where he's coming from, and we've journeyed with him enough to understand why we should or shouldn't be rooting for him, or why we should care about this event and how it relates to him as a character. But we don't know that about Yanagihara so much. He's been around, he's been helpful with a few things, and he's had that one scene, I think it was outside of the shogi hall, him and the chairman, where he expressed his unflinching desire to hold on to this title. It was a pretty cool scene. But beyond that, we don't really know before this episode who Yanagihara is, what drives him, what he's gone through in his life. We just know what most of the shogi watchers know, that he's the oldest in his rank, and he's been winning this title forever. And he seems like a pretty cool dude who's pretty well liked. But we don't know what drives him. What's at his core. So, in this episode, focusing on these two characters, while we can introduce Shimada quickly and know what to expect from him to an extent. We don't know Yanagihara, and so we dedicate this episode to exploring who he is and what he's thinking about. We know Shimada's struggles. We know his struggle with his stomach. We know his long struggle trying to win a title. We know his struggle against Soyotoji, against people who are so much further than him, and we root for him because he's so determined and he keeps going no matter what, and that's admirable. But we don't know who his opponent is. We don't know why we should consider them formidable, except that Yanagihara has won so many tournaments, but we're only told that. We don't know who this formidable character is, and so we focus on it. And I think they did a really good job of doing so. So, let me see. What else? So yeah, this all starts with the home team advantage thing that Shimada talks about. He sees Yanagihara hanging out with lots and lots of people, drinking, cheering, having a great time. And that's an advantage that Yanagihara has, that he's got these people behind him. And we get a little bit of interesting and cool stuff for Shimada here, where we see some of the villagers from his hometown cheering for him with their little sign. And that's cute. He's got his own little home team as well. But what this does is, from the outside, we see Yanagihara's sort of success, his popularity, his legion of cheering fans and drinking buddies. And we sort of see this respectable character in the shogi community. But what this does is it cleverly leads us into the truth, which is that for every drinking buddy who is there, one has left or retired or died. And we transition into that through Gon, this character, an old friend, one of the last remaining of the old guard, if you will. And he's being forced to retire against his will. And he's scared. He's terrified. Because he knows, without work, what's left. Without this thing that I've been doing forever. You and my daughter and my wife all told me just relax and enjoy the rest of your life, but what's the point of that if all I'm doing is standing in a burnt field? What's the point? Here in the entire episode, I think that there's a parallel being intentionally drawn between retirement and death. And I think I called it during the reaction, I called it a little death. When we see Yanagihara's friends throughout his life, leaving retiring shogi, quitting for various reasons, it's as if those are final goodbyes. It's as if they're dying and leaving him to go on and carry on for them. And that's an immense, immense weight on his shoulders. But at the same time, it pushes him forward. And that's awesome. It's really awesome. Then there's one technical detail that I wanted to talk about, and I wrote down a timestamp for it. I think it was the first thing that I wrote down. So about 450, we have a perfect example of this. Yeah. Yeah. There. Okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, this is a perfect example. So, what I want to talk about here is the way that this show, production-wise, um, and specifically the voice actors, because they're often the vehicle for making this happen, how it transitions from comedy scenes into more serious conversations. And this here is a perfect example of that. So they're doing the demo board commentary. It's a big, heavy responsibility on them. This is a goofy comedy scene, right? And we've got a sight gag. Then we go silent. And then this line.
いや、でも来てくれて助かったよ。
Honto. And the tone changes completely.
もちろん頑張りますよ。兄者。
I just wanted to point that out because it's something that throughout the show happens, and every time it happens, it almost catches me off guard just how well it transitions between opposite extremes of humor and goofy wholesome and more somber serious topics. It's kind of amazing. Oh, and there's some great gags at the beginning here around the poster and the chairman. A true monster. Maybe even a vengeful ghost of Mononoke. This sequence of flashbacks with the smoke from his cigarette overlaid, it's really cool. It's really cool. It gives this palpable feeling that we're just inside his mind as he muses back on the past and how many times he's been in this similar situation, watching a beloved friend and companion who's journeyed along with him leave for a different trail or fall away from the trail entirely. And then it's ended with this kind of amazing watercolor. Where is it? There, yeah. All that's left now is this old body and this ashes. A weight that pulls him forward but also keeps him where he is. An obstacle that he has to push against, but if he didn't, he might not push at all. Gosh, this is fantastic. And it's no accident that he wakes up here and we watch him go through his morning routine of pills and eye drops and patches, keeping his old body together. And with all of that in mind, these two giants come together and clash. Both of them have great reasons for wanting to win this. as is often the case. Shimada wants to make his mark, and Agihara wants to dig in his feet and keep what he has. And they're destined to clash. And Yanagihara knows that his defeat eventually is inevitable. That while he's gone on for so long, it can't last forever. That retirement like death will come for everyone. But he's still desperate to hold on for a little bit longer. To keep fighting for all the people who couldn't. This is awesome. This is awesome. I need a new page. Because we're going to move on. Zapepa. We're going to move on to episode 18. We're in the end game of the match, right? Let's see how it plays out. Pull it up. It's up. It's at 0 seconds. Beep beep timer goes here. Oh, before we do, if any of you remember any other instances of black title cards, let me know. I'd like to see if there's a correlation between those and anything else in the sequence, or in the section. Yeah, I just wanted to say that. So I don't remember black title cards before, but they might have happened because my memory isn't infallible. But yeah, it punctuated a really impactful section, so gonna keep an eye out for those. In any case, yeah, I've got episode 18 up. It's ready, good to go. There'll be a beep beep timer at the beginning, discussion at the end. Beep beep timer goes here. Mic drop. Okay. But you haven't given in. Pile of ash. God, the combination of these amazing visuals, the incredible music, and that goddamn voice actor with the voice of God. It burns. Not painlessly. little spine shiver there. We're in the same arc, of course. Another move. Monster. A flame. God, this song. Wise words from Goto. Resilient. Slow. Hmm. Lost in thought. Did he make a mistake? Did he just chuckle? Is this finally the end? A weight removed. but also the path. Hmm. All the people who walked away, still supporting him. Reaching out to get them back. Oh, oh, oh my god. No, without a fight, you won't take me down. You're too young to be complaining about it. Part 4. I didn't expect that. I thought he was gonna lose. Wow. Wow. Yeah, you. Come on, buddy. Your Nagiara merch. You're here to the town, but exactly what he wanted to accomplish. Maybe I'll give it my all. Hi, Chairman. Oh. What is? Hmm. I thought he was past 60. Wow. And preview. Making snacks. Yep. Ask Ray. Gonna guess. Ooh, plum syrup. And Fiend. That's a cute Shimada. With the kitty cats. Who is Ryo Ikuemi? Ryo Ikuemi. Who you? Shoujo manga artist. Writes mainly from Margaret. Oh boy, that's a lot of manga. I think none of which I've actually heard of. Oops. Okay. So, big time shoujo mangaka. Cool. There's going to be less to talk about this episode. Not that it was in any way inferior to the last one, but just that a lot of the themes and stuff carry over. So, yeah. What I will say is that at the very least, the first half of this episode was some of the like most impactful and awesome stuff that I've seen in a long time. Like, gosh, this whole setup and this whole visual metaphor of these sashes that weigh down on him, that he characterizes as a weight, as a burden, as something that he carries, but of his own volition. And he's finally relieved of that burden, but not by his choice. And as the weight is lifted from his shoulders, he comes to this realization that he needs it, that he doesn't want to let it go. And so, with desperation in his eyes, and the memories of all of those who he's lost, as he says later, in his heart, he reaches out for them. And there's a great emphasis on how wary, how aged, how haggard he is. But he still shouts no to the inevitable. And grasps at the shreds of tattered fabric. I'm not supposed to let go of this. And he turns, and it all ends up, where is it? Where this turns into the thrust of a play. Whoosh. Oh my god. Grits his teeth. And he sets like a boxer. Whoosh. Bam. Nani? Yeah, you're against a monster now. A burning, awoken monster. And as far beyond his limits as he is, as much as his body is giving out on him, he fights. He fights, and he wins, and he gains that eternal Shogi Maestro title. I thought from the way that this was set up and had played out up to that point, that this was going to be another character built up to experience and deal with failure. And I think it could have been super interesting to go that route as well. It's fantastic either way. But I thought Yanagihara would lose. I thought that we would see the birth of a new Shogi Maestro. And all of these things that Yanagihara is wrestling with, he would have to face head on. His own retirement, his own little death from Shogi. That he would have to come to some realization or understanding about himself, or answer some of the questions that he had over the course of the last couple episodes. Some of which are questions that were directed at him or more rhetorical. What's left without work? Some of which were shush phone. Some of which were interesting in a different way. Like this metaphor that he comes up with for Shimada as a certain kind of tree that grows slowly but is highly resilient, gets stronger and stronger. And his inability to find a similar metaphor for himself. I was waiting for him to have an answer to any of those questions, but he doesn't have to. Because he maintains the status quo. And just like last year, we learn he complains and he whinges and he whines. Says, I'll never do this again. But he will. This is one of my favorite arcs in the show so far. It's short, 2 episodes, and man, does it have impact. Inagihara went from sometimes comic relief, just being around background character on the same sort of level as the chairman, to one of the most interesting and well fleshed out characters in the series. That's so impressive. And you can't help but respect him, even if you come into this match rooting for Shimada, as the townsfolk who come to support Shimada display, you know? They're here for the picture. And we, like them, are won over by Yanagihara's determination. Hot diggity damn. We see that it has an influence on them. And they talk about growing things. We know that it's mostly a farming village, so that makes sense. But also, it fits, right? Both with the metaphor of the burnt field and with what we've done in previous episodes with planting growing things that bear fruit later. And from that we see that Yanagihara has succeeded not only in winning the Shogi Maestro and winning the Eternal title, but in planting seeds in the burned field. Sometimes they're so heavy that I can't even move. But in 2 ways, that ends up being a blessing, not a burden. Because of that weight, and because they're bound so tightly, it won't let me run away from my fear of becoming a human torch. I'm stuck, but I embrace it. Fantastic arc, fantastic pair of episodes. I made it this far without running away, not despite the weight on my shoulders, but because of it. I stayed, and I stayed the course. I respect that. Okay, that's all I've got. So, time to wrap up. Let's do chill stuff. If you like this reaction video, there's a button for that. And if you want more, there's a button for that. And if you want that button to actually do what it's supposed to do, this button might help you. Maybe. If you really like this content, or want next week's Sangatsu a week early, or just want to support... Ooh, it's falling over. Just want to support this guy who makes it, you can head over to patreon.com/Teeaboo to do any and all of those things. Yeah. And a huge shout out, of course, to those of you who are already supporting me on Patreon. I really appreciate it. It means the world. Okay. I've been Teeaboo. This has been Sangatsu 17 and 18, the Burnt Field arc. I hope that you've enjoyed it as much as I have. I hope you'll leave thoughts, anything that you got out of this that I maybe didn't cover or talk about. I'd love to see and hear what you think. And I hope to catch you in the next one. Peace.